Hi, everybody. How are you tonight? Oh, my goodness. Okay, why is the camera off on its size? Hello, just a second. Why is this doing this to me tonight? Unlock the scene and see if I can get it to be the right size. Whoops, something didn't. There we go. Fiddle dee dee. What did I goof around with? Yes, it's been a good day like that. Goofing around, making things go the way I'm supposed to. Ha! Yes. Hi, Bonnie. Nice to have you back. There's Susan and Fatima and Angie. Hi. And Madonna. Yay, and Larry. Goodness gracious, Linda. Everybody's here. Lupe should be jumping in. She sent artwork in. Tamara, hi. There's Tamara. I got artwork from Lupe, Larry, Madonna, and Susan that I know of. Okay, if anybody else did, I did not see it. I just checked a couple seconds ago. And don't see anything else. Uh-oh. Board meeting. Oh, I don't want to go. Yeah. All right. I just saw a announcement for a board meeting, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Let's see. So we're checking in back to the beginning here. We've got Linda checking in with everybody like she always does. That's Linda. She's like Miss Kitty, but she's a mother hen too, you know. And I say that in a good way, Linda. Tamara is here. I needed a paint fix. Had withdrawal. She painted this morning. Tamara had a paint. I get that feeling. I know. It's crazy now that I've kind of gotten addicted to doing fiddly watercolors, just paint goofiness. Diane Anton had a live this morning that I watched for a bit, and it was like, oh yay, watercolors. And so everybody's checking in. It's good. Yeah, you know what? Tamara says she gets grumpy when she's not creating, although I'm creating all the time in my head. I think that external need to create externally, even though we have these things going on in our head plan, is really significant. And if we don't do it, it's crazy. We just can get all racked up and stuff. Yes, tonight, I don't know if anybody else is a big fan of the Tony Awards, but I am. I'm a big musical theater and live theater fan. Tony Awards are on tonight. They started on Pluto earlier, and they did like some of the Lifetime Achievement Awards and all some of the other awards. That was fun to watch earlier. We're taping it because we'll see the rest. It's interesting because they're having to do the whole Tony Awards without any writers, which is an interesting thing to see how the actors can pull it together to do it with the other parts, but not have the writers there. So, and oh, Tamara, I didn't get anything from you. I didn't see anything. Let me check. Tamara. Oh, there it is. Nope, that's last week's. Let's see. Nope. Nope, not today. That was last week. I don't have anything from you, Tamara. All right. Let's see. And Fatima's here. Yay. And Susan. Oh my goodness. All right, you guys. Well, we're going to get going because I have a book to show you that is not really a story, but I wanted to share the artist with you. The kid is 15, and what he's done is pretty darn amazing. But I also want to get to our Some Writer book, and I think I've figured out a better way to show it to you, and so that I can read it too, because the print was a little small. It was stuff, so I'm going to try something. And so we're going to start off with our show and tell of everything. And hey, there's Maria. Good, Lupe. Nice to have you here. Um, and it was, oh gosh, on the Tony Awards, the one on the thing, they did the educator for an award to the educator who's made a significant difference in theater arts and in the arts. And it was a guy from a school in Florida that um, he embraces. He did his whole acceptance speech in sign language, and he embraces all kids with different abilities and on different things. And he had this amazing speech, and the kids that he goes there. It's really really fun for me to see my a very close friend of mine from high school. Jody is retiring, and she has 4 children that she adopted, and all of them are deaf. She is a specialist in deaf education, and she has done an amazing amount of work in Washington and Oregon. Also, when she was living back east, what she did, and she's retiring. She's been in charge of like the whole educational service district for deaf education for kids in I think in all of Oregon and in Washington. So it's amazing. But it was great to see him honored like that. It always does my heart good when they recognize somebody who makes a big difference like that. There's everybody. Sunday essentials, yes. There's Bonnie's there. I see that. Nathan later got caught up in painting. I didn't get a chance to. Yeah, we had somebody here today, and I didn't get a chance to watch Nathan and any of those that happened today. So, yeah. All right, you. Oh, thank you, Angie, for the thumbs up reminder. I appreciate that. All right. And I also was working on my presentation, which I'm not done. I'm not done. So I'm not done. I'm just going to have to say I'm not done. And it's kind of crazy. It's going to be what it is. So, all right. It's time for, so let me check up with the, yep. It is time for, yeah. Okay. Mute. That's Tamara's from last week. That wasn't supposed to go. It was supposed to go to here. There. Oh, see, I still have not figured out why my scene is automatically muting. So we're just going to deal with it. All right. So what is that in the background there? Oh. There. Ha. That was my mail. This is from Susan. And Tamara, I might not be able to pull them in tonight. I'll see if I can. If I can get to it, I might be able to. I probably will. I got so many windows open right now. So this is from Susan at SJ Color. I love what she said. She said, "This is what you get when you've never painted before and join a wine and paint class. 4 glasses of wine and you get martini lilies." I think that's classic. 2001. I think that was about the first time I did one of those with my sisters, and it was hilarious. It was hilarious. Yeah, too much wine, and you're lucky if any of the paint even gets on the canvas. But this is really pretty. I love the colors. If you can do that after 4 glasses of wine, girl, yikes. That's pretty darn awesome. Amazing. I love it. I just love it. Great buzz. Yeah, great buzz. Okay, so then we're going to go to Madonna. And I'm going to make sure. Oh, good. She's not. There's. No, not muted for her. So Madonna has something she sent in. She says, the dogs are Mabel and Moses, my Bassets, in acrylic on canvas board. I love them. Look at these holding paintbrushes. That's so cute. Let's see, that's them. So I'm going to unlock them. And so darling. Here, let me move me out of the way. Yes. Donna's name down. There. What I really like is the use of your color in that, because Bassets can be just, I mean, they look so sedate and all this kind of stuff, but they exude personality in so many different ways. I had a friend in high school whose Basset used to follow her to school. It's pretty darn funny. All right, then we'll go from there to this one, which is the wreath made of pine cones. I cut, painted, and wired to a wreath frame. You made that out of pine cones? Those are really pretty. Better than the pine cones that I did when I poured over pine cones. Just let me tell you, pouring over pine cones is not an easy thing. I really like the colors that you did with this. This is one that could go from like a spring into like a winter one. Like you could have that run for Easter, or you could have it for winter. That's pretty cool. Great colors. Like it a lot. And then, okay, I'll get rid of that. Then this one is a baby gourd about 2 inches tall that she hollowed out and made the owl from polymer clay, then painted. Okay, did you just say 2 inches? Does that say 2 inches? It does. It says 2 inches. So how big is the little owl? Is the owl like a miniature? I would have thought it was bigger than that. But it's so cool. I didn't realize it was so tiny. That is awesome. It's like an ink dink. And then a little itty bitty. You 2 inches? I know, Susan. I'm kind of, I'm like, what? Man, it's teeny tiny. Yes, ma'am. It's teeny tiny. She said, yes, ma'am. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. It's very, very tiny. says Linda. Oh my gosh. That is just too cute. I could just see, the little kids going, oh. What was it? Rook would say, oh, it can go with my Hachimos. That's it. The Hachimo people, I don't know what the heck they are, but they're something crazy. Okay, and then we have Lupe. Yay, Lupe's not muted either, yay. So this is, she says, so Lupe is, I'm gonna get rid of me down here, tiny. She's working on a project for her oldest sister. She's building a new home and needs something to cover the glass panels in the front door, which are these guys right here on the side. You see the glass, the door she did. Although she only needs 5 panels, Lupe's making 14 panels for her to choose from. Please notice the house is still under construction, so the door is still dirty, dusty. Well, as if we can see it in this, dirty, dusty. And also, these are rather small and super hard for me. That's right, because your shaky hands, because I can't remember what it is with your hands, but that's small. That's why you work in bigger strokes with your painting. Is easier for you to do after So the small bits are difficult for you. And if this is what you can do when it's difficult for you, that's pretty dang amazing. That is pretty dang amazing. They're beautiful. I love them. So are they going to be like, are they on on something that you can stick in the window, or are they in glass that she's replacing it? Are they etched? Tell us what. Oh, wow. Yeah, exactly. What are they made on? Larry's asking, not just me. What are they made on? I want to know. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Unlock it. Unlock that overlay. I'm going to make them bigger. Okay, guys. Let's see what she's making them on. Lupe, is that on the glass itself? Are you painting on the glass? What? What's she saying? So Lupe's not telling. She's keeping it a secret. Either that or there's a delay. Anyway, curious minds want to know, girl. Let's say. They are on self-adhesive clear paper. Cool. All right, so that they can go right onto the window. That's awesome. That's a great idea. I love that. Are you going to leave them clear, or are you going to paint them a colored? Is she wants you to paint them or leave them clear? Who knows? What ideas? All right, and then we have Larry, and Larry did campfire tales. This is great. Around the campfire telling stories at camp. Oh my gosh. How many of you guys were camp counselors? I know that Lupe was. She used to work for the Girl Scouts. And I was a young life counselor, camp counselor up at Malibu, but that was for high school kids. And did some other stuff too, but camp, going to camp was always fun. I like the glow, the whole bit of it, telling the camp and the kids sitting around. One camp counselor in a chair, the kids all looking around. Oh, they're great. And the blanket around her shoulders. That's awesome. Oh, is my sound a bit off? Thank you. Is that better? I can turn it up. Let's see, make sure it's on the right stuff. Okay, sound. Volume seems to be okay. Output, input. Okay, that should be a little, is that better? And no, that's all right. Okay, there, I was sitting back, probably too far back. Yeah, that was really nice. Oh, let me know if that sound is better there. Linda. Is that a tractor? Yes. Okay. Let's see. Now let's see if I can find before. Okay. Oh, I was going to show what I did. And then I'll see if I can get in Tamara's. Let me see. This will show. Okay. Yeah, it does kind of. All right. I just did this goofing around the other night. Sitting here, or the other morning, I was playing around. And I did it a complete watercolor wash. Just got it all wet and then put just a background. And then I just put wet splotches on and just did some fun. Just playing around with watercolor. Nothing fancy, just trying to stretch my creative muscles, just doing that one day. Okay, let me see if I can find Tamara's right here. Tamara. Okay, I think we got it. Let me go back to Tamara's spot here, and I will see if I can bring it in. Okay, there it is. Okay, here it is. Why does it have Tamara's name here twice? All right. And this is what she sent in, Tamara sent in. I just did this piece, the koi, my first attempt in a long time doing these gorgeous fish. I did this on Canvas pad, cheap pad, for a sample before going to use the expensive paper. Have been playing with Kasumi, the geisha. Oh, okay. But I love the koi. I really like that. This is cool. Find all my old pond photos. I'd sent you, those were almost 20 thingies. 20 thingies. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they probably wouldn't come through with 20 thingies. Oh, okay, the geisha came through. Okay, all right, so there's the koi. I'll drag her geisha over too. Since it came over, it was not all 20 thingies. And we'll just make it smaller. Get rid of the koi there so you can see this. And I'm trying to make it a little smaller. Okay, there we go. There's Tamara's other piece, the geisha, that she said she was playing around with. So she said the koi was her first attempt in a long time doing gorgeous fish. So we saw those, and then she's been playing around with Kasumi the geisha. This is really pretty. I like the look on her face. I like the hat. I like the white hair. I think that's really, really an interesting contrast with that. That's really interesting. So pretty. So, so pretty. The echoes returned. Okay, something's, How's that? I think there was my MacBook Pro microphone somehow got turned on. And that's not good. That gave me the echo. Okay, thanks, Fatima, for letting me know that. Kasumi. So I hope I got rid of the echo. I'm not hearing one from my own ears, but that doesn't mean it's not being crazy. Thank you, guys. All right. So before we get into some writer, I want to show you this book. And it is, let me go back to here. I want to show you this book. Oh, I pushed my microphone into my face there. Hello. Oh, well. This book is by Tyler Gordon, and it's called Portraits of Power. It's called We Can. And it's not really a story, but it's one, as artists, I think you guys are going to appreciate. So let me show you. Here we go. Okay, here is the book. Let me get me out of the way. Sorry, my table is a mess. I did not plan on using this camera, but oh well. It's got stuff all over. So We Can, Portraits of Power by Tyler Gordon. First off, let me tell you about who Tyler Gordon is. When Tyler was 10 years old, he was a child with a severe stutter, and he loved painting. particularly bold, unique portraits of his favorite people, like his principal. As he got older, he turned his attention to icons who inspired him, like basketball player LeBron James, actress Viola Davis, and Vice President Kamala Harris. The public began to notice his stunning art, his unique talent, his big smile, and his even bigger heart. Now his paintings have been featured on the Today Show, on the cover of Time magazine, and in art galleries. And now Tyler is showing the world that what he can do with his art. In We Can, Portraits of Power, Tyler honors the people who helped him cope with the bullying he endured as the result of his stutter, and who inspired him to turn his pain into paint on the canvas. Pretty cool. It says it's dedicated to my mom, who's been my greatest inspiration. The art doesn't say what he's using, what medium, but dear reader, he says, when I first realized the power of my paintbrush, I was only 10 years old. And I told my mom about a dream I had where God said that if I didn't use my gifts, he was going to take them away from me. At first, she didn't want to pay much attention to this because I had never painted before. Eventually, after endless pestering, she allowed me to enter my school's STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics competition. I painted a portrait of our principal that actually won first prize. I was shocked as I was to receive the top prize. I knew it was only the beginning. Now, 4 years later, I've painted over 300 portraits, and I'm just getting started. The people in this book are icons who have changed the world in their own groundbreaking ways. When I reflect on where I want to be in the future, I think about the accomplishments of these strong, brave people, and it gives me inspiration to put my all into everything I do. To everyone whose portrait appears in this book, thank you for being who you are. Because of what you have accomplished, kids like me know that we can too. So he entered that contest when he was 10, 4 years. So he's just 15. And this copyright is 2021 when he did this book. So there is his portrait of Kamala Harris. The day I made this portrait of Vice President Kamala Devi Harris, I woke up and knew that I wanted to paint outside in the fresh air in the front of the Bay Bridge. Like me, she grew up in San Francisco Bay Area. I thought about the Vice President Harris and all that she'd accomplished by being the first woman, first African American, and first South Asian American to be elected Vice President of the United States. She broke the same racial and gender barriers to become the Attorney General of California. I admire how Vice President Harris fights for women and kids, LGBTQIA rights, plus the environment and criminal justice reform. Gorgeous. I'm not going to read everybody's, but he did Maya Angelou, who was a groundbreaking poet and author. He says all the things about what she did. That's his portrait of her. There. Here, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and John Lewis. He says, I'll always remember the day I painted the portrait of Mr. John Lewis. He had just passed away, and the news was flooded with reports of his amazing work, including his role in helping to organize the 1963 March on Washington. Look at these. Stacey Abrams. President Biden. He says, President Joe Biden inspires me in a very personal way. Like me, President Biden was a stutterer. I was often bullied at school because of this and would pour myself into my art as an outlet for my sadness and frustration. After learning that President Biden is also a stutterer, I felt empowered. This portrait of Barack Obama. I know. You're not a pain, Tamara. You're fine. Colin Kaepernick, NFL football player. Naomi Osaka, Tiger Woods, Serena Williams, Muhammad Ali, Kobe Bryant, Jackie Robinson. I don't think I showed you these. Serena Williams. The power that he has, his use of black and white as in the portrait themselves, and then the color behind. LeBron James. Marilyn Monroe. The Beatles. Chadwick Boseman. Oh, wow. Janet Jackson. Bob Marley. Lady Gaga. Michelle Obama. Look at that picture of Michelle Obama. Tyler Perry. Steve Jobs. Oprah Winfrey. Will Smith and Ice Cube. Viola Davis. Amanda Gorman. Oh, I love that portrait of Amanda Gorman. Prince and Whoopi Goldberg. Andy Warhol. Jimi Hendrix. Jean-Michel Basquiat. Remember that book I read about him? Yeah. Tyler Gordon is a 15-year-old painter whose work has been featured in Time, Essence magazines, and on Good Morning America and in ABC News. In 2020, he was awarded the Global Child Prodigy Award. He currently lives in San Jose, California. Look at that. I just think it's amazing. We can sing, write, make change, make art, be kind, play sports, lead, perform, write songs, inspire, break barriers, be creative, innovate, and so can you. I love that. Okay, well, now we're going to go on to Some Writer. We left off on chapter 4, and I figured out a little better way to present the book to you and still be able to read it better for myself, because I couldn't see it very well to read, and I felt like I wasn't doing a very good job. So hopefully this will work a little better for you. I've got it going on 2 different screens from 2 different sites, and we are gonna go for it, you guys. We're gonna go for it. All right. Chalkboard, there it is. And here it is. You get to see that one. I get to see this one. And we are back on the story of E.B. White in Some Writer by Melissa Sweet. We're on chapter 4, From Sea to Shining Sea. A person who is looking for something doesn't travel very fast. When he returned home from camp, Andy had a series of writing jobs that he disliked. He and Cush made plans to go west. Andy bought a Model T Roadster for about $400 and named it Hotspur. He and Cush organized camping gear and packed their clothes, a cigar box fiddle, 2 Corona typewriters, it's important, a Webster's dictionary to remind them of their true destination was the world of letters. Andy said nothing about the trip to his parents. The night before he was ready to leave, Cush joined Andy at the White's house for dinner. At the supper table, Andy announced that they were heading out west in the morning, leaving no time for his parents to talk him out of the trip. Andy and Cush had no real plan except to go west and pay their way by writing as they went along. They were in no hurry. In 1922, the roads that crossed America were sometimes just paths through the fields. Signs were often arrows made from old shingles. They deliberately didn't even pack a road map. Like Thoreau, still their favorite author of hers and Andy's, they were traveling light and trying new adventures. Now, the Model T was not a fussy car. It sprang cheerfully toward any stretch of wasteland, whether there was noticeable road underfoot or not. Of course, my life was changed by it, and it is in a class by itself. It was cheap enough so I could afford to buy one. It was capable enough so it gave me courage to start. Okay, there we go. Now, if ever is the time to bum about a bit, so here we go. Jogging leisurely from one free meal to the next. Taking a general westerly direction, writing a lot. Selling little, maybe, and chopping proverbial wood to eke out a supper. Their route on here, you'll notice on the numbers on the map, they say number 1 route. Sold a sonnet for $5 about a horse that won the Kentucky Derby. That was spot number 1. Number 2, supplied the last line in a limerick contest and won $25. Spot 3. Up there, it looks like not quite to North Dakota yet. Nope. Played piano in a cafe in exchange for meals. Spot 4. Walked 32 miles with Cush's typewriter, trading it for a new tire for Hotspur and $7. Spot 5. Sandpapered a dance floor, earning $5. And number 6. Picked peas in an orchard for 30 cents per hour, 10 hours a day. Let's see. Trying to get it to move. There we go. That afternoon, we washed dirt from ourselves and our clothes in 10 Mile Lake and slept there in a little pine grove. That's letters to White. When they arrived in Seattle, 6 months later, Andy wrote that he had left a track across the United States as erratic as a mouse's track in snow. He found a job as a reporter with the Seattle Times. Cush headed back home. As a reporter, Andy hated to be told what to write, but he liked his boss. When Andy asked how to describe a story, his boss thought for a moment and then said, "Just say the words." It was sound advice that Andy remembered the rest of his life. The Seattle Times gave him a chance to write small personal pieces, but eventually Andy was laid off. That was fine with him. He preferred to be footloose. Andy took a ship to Alaska and Siberia before heading home. So there's a little bit up there that talks about what he said. He says, the picture of Andy says, as a reporter and later columnist, he earned $40 per week, but discovered he would never make a good newspaper reporter. I was not quick enough or alert enough. I was always taking the wrong train in the wrong direction. On returning to New York, he lived with his parents and commuted to a new job in advertising in Manhattan. And he still sent out his light verses, sonnets, and squibs to magazine, mostly for no pay, just for the sheer glory of sometimes seeing his writing in print. At night on Long Island Sound, he sailed his canoe rigged with sails made of bed sheets. When a friend told him about a brand new magazine that might like Andy's sense of humor, in February of 1925, Andy swung into Grand Central's terminal, laid 15 cents on the line, and bought the very first issue of The New Yorker. 9 weeks later, the new magazine published a piece by E.B. White. Andy called himself, and we're back on and this is the next chapter. Answers to Hard Questions, Chapter 5. I discovered that writing of the small things of the day, the trivial matters of the heart, was the only kind of creative work which I could accomplish with any sincerity or grace. And he called himself a short writer. He described the New Yorker pieces as short, relaxed, and sometimes funny. The magazine set out to create a witty weekly about life in New York City. With each issue they produced, the New Yorker editors were figuring out what kind of magazine it would be. No one predicted that this magazine, filled with sassy cartoons, would become one of the preeminent literary journals in America. That year, the New Yorker published more of Andy's writing, but he still sent his work to other newspapers and magazines, including New York World, which had a column called The Conning Tower. For a young writer to see his work in the tower, as Andy called it, was a high point, a moment in the sun. In the summer of 1926, Andy moved into an apartment in Greenwich Village with 3 Cornell classmates. Although he wanted people to read his work, he didn't feel obligated to mingle with other writers. He liked how the city gave him the gift of loneliness and the gift of privacy. Wow. Andy called... there we go. Both Harold Ross, publisher of The New Yorker, and the fiction editor Catherine Sargent Angell noticed Andy's writings in other journals. They asked Andy to work part-time at The New Yorker as a staff writer. Though Andy met with them and continued to send The New Yorker his writing, he had a better offer. One of his roommates had a job making a promotional movie for the Cunard Cruise Line and was headed to Europe. At 9 o'clock one morning, he told Andy that in exchange for writing a movie script, he would earn $45 a week and would get to go on a cruise. At 5 o'clock that same day, they sailed to Europe. Just before Andy left, he sent out a poem to the Conning Tower. Catherine Sargent Angell saw the published poem and wrote again to Andy, but he had already set sail. And the letter says, for the Conning Tower, for things that are a part of me, this is what he wrote. When days by ending make me old, when neither fortune comes nor gold, when love with eyes that speak the truth backs slowly from me like my youth, and friends who know their way alone go forth and leave me one by one, still must I very thankful be for things that are a part of me, that when I read a pretty line, a little flame goes down my spine, that when I see the morning sun, I laugh to think the world's begun. That was what he sent off to the Conning Tower. And she wrote him a letter. Dear Mr. White, the New Yorker looks with jealous eyes at your verse and that led off the conning tower this week. And we all like it so much that we say, alas, that you did not send it to us. That we say, alas, that you did not send it to us. Mr. Ross and I are wondering whether you won't call up someday to have lunch with us, perhaps, or to at least arrange to drop in at the office to discuss various thoughts we have in mind for you in connection with the New Yorker. Won't you do us the favor of giving us a ring? Sincerely yours, the New Yorker. Angela. When the ship returned to New York 6 weeks later, Andy debarked, picked up his mail, then walked to the Child's restaurant. While waiting for his dinner, he opened the envelopes containing checks from the New Yorker. Nearly $178 spilled out, payment for pieces he had sent in before he left. At last he was being paid to write exactly as he pleased. Eventually, Harold Ross convinced Andy to work at the New Yorker. He earned just $30 a week, and for a time he had to get another job to make ends meet. Andy shared an office barely big enough for 2 desks, 2 typewriters, and a mountainous stack of yellow copy paper with another writer he barely knew, James Thurber. Andy was as reserved as Thurber was gregarious. From the first, we loved each other's stuff. Let's see if I can get this one to move. Hang on. There we go. There's the picture of them. Andy writing and James Thurber drawing. Oh my gosh. And writing. Thurber's rendering of E.B. White. Andy later added the caption. This was Thurber's rendering of E.B. White. And what does he say about it? White listening to a man giving him an idea for a comment. Could you imagine being in an office with Thurber or White? Oh my gosh. Crazy. Let's see. Get it to move. There we go. Andy's writing was becoming more and more popular. Thurber wrote that when someone came into the New Yorker's office wanting to meet E.B. White, Andy would slip moodily out of the building by way of the fire escape and hide at Schraff's restaurant until the visitor went away. White's job was writing captions for cartoons, short articles on current events called comments, and news breaks. Humorous column fillers that poked fun at errors and typos in other magazines and newspapers. Thurber wrote that the way a child skips rope, the way a mouse waltzes. That's when you write. And Thurber said, no one could write a sentence like White. He made me realize a writer turns on his mind, not a faucet. There is a secret joy. Oopsie. Hang on. Oops. There you go. There we go. There's a secret joy in discovering a blunder in the public prints, Andy wrote. Almost every person has a little of the proofreader in him. Andy scanned newspapers and magazines for mistakes, typos, and blunders. Readers also sent in clippings from all over the country. He then sometimes gave the newsbreak a headline from the list of newsbreak department heads written by Andy and the staff. The punchline following the newsbreak was called a snapper. Had all of these things going on. He had all these little notes in them. With the stork, in last week's issue, some errors were made regarding Mrs. Gilcuddy, which the following account will correct. Mrs. Gilcuddy was born in 1865 and was 64 years and 11 days of age at the time of her birth. So it's like bloopers in the newspapers what he worked with. Oh my gosh, had a whole bunch of them type of things. And he had handwritten additions to the newsbreak department heads, he called them. Most of the staff worked a typical 10 to 5 day, but Andy came and went as he pleased. He sometimes took off for Maine without telling anyone where he was going, but he always made his deadlines. One spring, Andy was traveling home from Virginia on a train and fell asleep. He dreamt of a mouse who was fully dressed in dapper clothing with a hat and cane. Andy wrote it all down. Later, when one of his 18 nieces and nephews wanted a story, Andy would read it aloud. He named the mouse Stuart and kept the story in a drawer, sometimes adding new episodes. At the New Yorker, Andy and Thurber and Catherine Sargent Angel became fast friends, and though it didn't happen right away, Andy and Catherine fell in love. Catherine, however, was married with 2 children, but her marriage had been unhappy long before she met Andy. Eventually, she got divorced. Her children from that marriage, Roger and Nancy, would live with their father during the school year and with Catherine in the summers. Finally, one autumn, Andy and Catherine were married in a small ceremony. Just the 2 of them and their dog, Daisy, a present from Thurber. But Daisy got into a scuffle with the minister's dog. It was a very nice wedding, Andy wrote. Nobody threw anything and there was a dog fight. They were both back at work the next day. He has a thing, Natural History is one of his poems. The spider dropping down from twig unwinds a thread of his devising, a thin premeditated rig to use in rising. And all the journey down through space in cool descent and loyal-hearted, he builds a ladder to the place from which he started. Thus I, gone forth as spiders do, in spider's web, a truth discerning, attach one silken strand to you for my returning. He wrote that poem for Catherine from Ontario in 1929. He said, later wrote of his first meeting with Catherine, I sat there peacefully gazing at the classic features of my future wife without, as usual, knowing what I was doing. Okay, let's see. In May, when they learned Catherine was pregnant, Andy was so overjoyed with joy, he didn't know how to express himself. So he had their dog Daisy write a letter to Catherine. Daisy wrote, what White feels, he told me, is a strange, queer, tight little twitchy feeling around the inside of his throat whenever he thinks that something is happening which will require so much love, and all on account of you being so wonderful. In December, they had a son, Joel Joe McCoon White. Someday when I am out of sight, travel far but travel light. Stalk the turtle on the log, watch the heron spear the frog. Find the things you only find when you leave your bag behind. Raise the sail your old man furled, hang your hat upon the world. Joe, my tangible creation, happy in preambulation. Work no harder than you have to. Do you get me? Ah, I love it. Even though America was now in the Great Depression, a time when many people lost their homes and businesses and had trouble finding work, Catherine and Andy kept their jobs at the New Yorker and were paid well. Catherine was especially lucky as few women had jobs in publishing. At that time, one summer, Andy and Catherine took Roger, Nancy, and Joel on a vacation, loading up their Buick sedan with everything from playpen to a 9.5-foot dinghy. It was the first of their many summers spent in Maine. On one sailing trip along the coast of Maine, they anchored in a small cove in Blue Hill Bay. Directly in front was a rambling farm with a barn. Just the kind of barn Andy had kept animals in while growing up on Summit Avenue. The next day, while driving down the road, they saw a for sale sign in front of this very house and barn. The Whites immediately bought the farm and the surrounding 40 acres for $11,000. In time, a spider, a pig, a gaggle of geese, and all the other animals, including a rat, that E.B. White was about to acquire would make that barn famous. And that is the farmhouse there. The points of my compass. What happens to me when I cross into Maine, I cannot describe it, but I do have the sensation of having received a gift from a true love. Ugh. And that's a map of the White Farm down there on the lower right there. And then a painting that is one that she got out of his notes and out of his journals, and then Melissa did that other collage painting to the side. Oh. And that brings us to the beginning of chapter 6, and I think I'm going to stop there because it is 7:30 and I've kept you for an hour. And it's a little bit different to hear this than it is a regular story. And we had story time and art and all of that wonderful stuff. Bonnie, you asked what to do to send in things. You send it into my email at imagesbygretchen@icloud.com and put live art in the subject line, and then it gets to me easily. Because right now I just checked and I have 1,200 emails. I check for you guys and I check for a couple of other things, but I don't check a lot of other stuff. Oh well. It doesn't always get me in trouble, but it sometimes does. Not too terribly. As you can see, I'm so worried about it. I'm more worried. I get more concerned about missing your guys' stuff than anything else. So when we come back, I'll read a little bit more on Thursday of this. We'll be on chapter 6, and for a time of enchantment. And I'll have another story, though, a regular story to go with this one. But tonight we had story and art, and so I get to share your guys' art, and so that takes up the first part, and it's always great to do that. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Madonna. It was one of those books that I really kind of struggled with how I was going to present it to you guys and read it or not, because it is longer than a normal picture book and it's so different. But the artwork in it, I knew as artists you guys would love it, and just it's so comical. I mean, his sense of humor and the way he did, and the people that Eudora Welty, I mean, and the whole group that he had, that they were all sending things in, and that it boggles my mind that there was that sense of that group of writers. And then he shared an office with Thurber, and he was an a reporter for the Seattle Times. We've gotten the Seattle Times since I was little. Bob's always we got the Sunday one at our house, but Bob's parent, he grew up in North Seattle, and it was a daily thing for them. And we still get the Times. We still get the Sunday Times. And it's just, yeah, he's just like he is. It seems a lot like his writing. So anyway, you guys, we will be back on Thursday with some more story and art. And Larry, you asked how the interview went. It went okay. I think it went okay. It's a little bit up and down on some things. It kind of, I thought he was going to be talking more about the art walk, which I have to send you your stuff. And he was asking about YouTube kind of stuff, and crossed over. It kind of threw me for a loop, but it turned out all right, I'm sure. C'est la vie. And I'm going to go finish working on my presentation for Tuesday night at the Mustard Seed. So I'll have that done. Yay. And all of that, all's good. So everybody, thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate it. I'm glad you came. It's good to have Bonnie came and everybody who comes out, all you guys who come back and everything. Gail, if you're in the background, how you doing? Miss you, girl. Hope you're taking care of yourself and hope your mom is doing well. Anyway, everybody, like always, thank you for letting me share this passion for kids' books and the art, and for being really encouraging to me and to each other about our artwork and being the best bucket filling brigade out there. I tell you, I feel blessed every day to have the BFB in our pocket. You know, you guys are amazing. So until next time, everybody, keep looking for the beauty hidden in plain sight. It's all around you, but the first place you'll find it is if you go look in the mirror. And I will see you Thursday.
In the heat of the night, we could get lost in all the lights and sounds. Feeling alright, we won't go home, we would just stay here downtown. There's not just stars on the boulevard, they're in the light in your eyes. Oh, we don't need no black cards, I just need you by my side. We could be shameless, famous, running cool, with a love that leaves us weightless. Ooh, drop dead gorgeous, wow. Ooh, you got me feeling starstruck too. We could be famous. We could be famous. You blow my mind, looking like a model, better than the usual. Yeah, you don't even try, not amateur, typical. I put you on a pedestal.
Yeah, exactly, Fatima.
There's not just stars.
It's a great kickoff to the week.